Hello and welcome to the Adventures of the Windswift. My name is Guy and I am joined by a full crew this week. So hello everybody, thanks for watching. Now if you haven't been on this journey, the team is involved in a very delicate negotiation, investigation, subterfuge thing deep within the Drow Republic. So to tell us more about it, the Dice of Destiny says it's number 5 and that happens to be Jenny in this case as things bounce around on my screen.
It's supposed to be Tobias.
It wasn't me. They change position depending on the who connected to what. So, Jenny, you're right.
All right. Well, last time
We fucked up.
We did. I did. Saket did. A lot of people fucked up. The good Dr. Con was back finally with us. The stomach bug was over, and he proceeded to go and return the artifacts that we were actually down here to return to the captain instead. And was very... The person who accepted them was very grateful and said to come back if we ever needed anything, or maybe in 100 years or so when the house was back on its feet. Blaxton went off to speak with his playwright and told her to write in one day a very, very interesting play about how Senator Vistasios was the grand hero that would save the Drow Republic from the evil traitor Vyx, and assisted by a band of foreign merchants. And it was very subtle stuff. Very subtle. Just so subtle. In the meantime, the rest of us were still at the mansion, bungling things horribly. Adresai was investigating this new book and got physically drawn into the book in this massive magical library-like space, and was probably only really got out again within reasonable hours by the fact that Jorik showed up and pulled them back out physically from the book. Then they spoke of this a little too loudly and was most likely overheard by someone quite dangerous. And went outside and went to find Saket, who was busy grave robbing the mausoleum on the little island in the lake, being attacked by a strange, odd, hairless cat / spider / scorpion creature. It was very gross. And as we speak, Blaxton went to have a meeting with Nasri, who seemed very sort of, yes, we should both be joining forces against Vyx. This sounds great. And Jorik was swimming across the lake. Con had found the, presumably at least, the
Brothel.
House of Pleasure, where Athlen Vandendar had been holed up, and at mentioning his name, got a knife stuck against his stomach. And that's where we left off.
Absolutely.
And I'm about to get eaten.
Yes, that's
yes.
Right.
By odd things in the water.
So is it the case that Adresai and I am the only one who are not in mortal danger right now?
Well, I don't know. You've just shared.
Depends on what's in that fucking boathouse.
Declared yourself for Senator Nasri. I don't know about mortal danger, perhaps.
Right now.
This is just the red light district. I can deal with this.
We're all in danger.
Famous last words, I think. I hope not. Yes, as we continue our quest for, I'm going to ask everybody to please just roll initiative so that I can bounce through you and make it a lot easier just to bring a little or else.
Adresai, you have +2.
Thank you. That means 14.
11.
Adresai. Con?
3.
Oh.
Blaxton?
It's a natural 1 if that matters.
A natural 1, yes it does actually. A natural 1, all right, thank you. Saket?
7.
7. Jorik?
Oh, damn it. What did I say? 11.
11.
Right. Okay, so that means we throw our nets back to the estate of Senator Nasri, where Blaxton has just sworn allegiance to help Nasri destroy Vyx in a diabolical plot of epic magnitude. Or at least he's just agreed to help him say some nasty things about the senator. So the large corpulent form of Senator Nasri looks at you. I'll tell you what I know so far about our Senator Vyx. What you may or may not be aware is that Senator Vyx was trying to purchase a significant amount of land not too far from here. Now, normally this wouldn't have posed too much of a problem. The land has absolutely no value whatsoever. It's farming land, not particularly productive land either. And the tenants that stay upon the land pay the Republic a trifling sum each month in the form of taxes. Normally, it wouldn't have been stopped, except for me. Whenever Vyx tries to do something, I have made it my personal mission to see that he fails. It's a long-lived enmity that we've had since the great days where we vanquished the foes of the Republic and, of course, the dragons. The senator, of course, appealed to the Senate to purchase this territory, and I naturally opposed it. There are certain machinations that must then happen. Now, what I did was I have managed to delay him for quite some time. It's nearly a decade since he made his approach to purchase the land. I have had litigations keeping him quite busy. However, he found a loophole. The Ministry of Geology. If they determine that the land has no real value and that above and below is of no consequence to the Republic, then the Senate has no reason to delay the decision any longer. It is counterproductive, if you like, for the senators to debate for so long on a piece of land that has absolutely no value. And that, of course, is when Senator Tolriarius was involved. As the senator in charge of geology, he was required to go out to the territory and examine it. This may be of interest to you. I have a witness who saw Senator Tolriarius arguing with Senator Vyx most violently, as a matter of fact. Not 10 minutes before that earthquake tore the entire area in half. And here's another piece of information you might find useful. The Senator of Geology did not remain behind to investigate the after effects of such a tremendous earthquake, but immediately alighted in his carriage and returned home. Don't you find that curious? Then, of course, he died.
Okay, so the dying part seems to be a completely off remark, right? This is completely...
Oh, it's as if it's completely irrelevant.
Right. All right. So, okay. Some of the information I already knew, but specifically the part of the argument between the two senators before the earthquake might prove useful.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my observer couldn't hear what they were arguing about, but it certainly seemed that Tolriarius was very incensed at something that Vyx had either withheld from him or had failed to inform him of.
Do you know where his body lies at this point?
Tolriarius?
Yes.
Most likely in the family mausoleum on his estate, the Crescent Moon.
All right. Might be. Is there a possibility that we might get access to his body, other than through his daughter Jazidari?
I'm not entirely sure what you hope to accomplish by seeing the corpse.
I don't want to see the corpse. I want to speak with the corpse.
Necromancy is not seen as submissible as evidence in a trial situation, so I would hope...
Perhaps, but out of the trial it can give us information that can lead us to information that is admissible in trial.
Yes, I suppose. It will probably by now have already been interred within its crypt, but I suppose a senatorial injunction might be achieved to get the body released to you for such a purpose. You must understand Senator Vyx will oppose, most naturally. He has grounds, of course, defilement of a senator's body. You might be after secrets that the senator had that has nothing to do with this particular case. There are many ways in which he might stop this. I hope you're prepared for a lengthy battle.
Perhaps this might be of some interest to the, let me double check, to the Senator Vestasius, if she would be present. I'm sure the Drow Republic would be safeguarded from secrets that shouldn't be unearthed. Pardon the pun.
Senator Vestasius might also be against it herself. The Drow are not particularly keen on secrets getting out. They rather keep them buried. If Vestasius has had dealings with Vyx, as you intimated she might have, there may be something that she doesn't want found out.
But she is a smart person, and she would want to know about certain circumstances of maybe information that she wishes to procure. And this could be it's something we would need to check with her. Are there any ideas from your side, as you are more versed in the dealings, how you want to deal with it?
Your investigations have raised questions all over the place. A bunch of foreigners have come down and are unofficially conducting inquiries into this entire affair. Because of your standing with the Order of Hastari, there's been a certain leniency that's been afforded to you. And you haven't ruffled too many feathers just yet, but it sounds like we're getting ready to hurl the Manx amongst the pigeon rats, so to speak, which I look forward to. But if you wish to speak with the corpse, and you wish to do it this decade, I would suggest that paying a visit to send your condolences to Jodrazari, and
the indirect way would possibly be faster.
It would definitely be faster. Just lodging the petition to the Senate will require a Senate meeting, which can take...
Right. Yeah, as a human, I don't have these kinds of amounts of time.
No, it's a failing of your race, which we're well aware of. Now, I didn't mean that in any form of disrespect. This is really
it certainly is a disadvantage.
It is without a doubt a disadvantage. This is probably why the elves will eventually dominate the entire planet. But that's long-term plans, which you needn't worry about or future generations for at least another 8 or 9 generations at the very least. So I wouldn't fear too much. Now, back to the matter at hand, he says. And on that, we go to Adrasai. Are you running along the coastline of this lake towards that ramshackle building, or are you stopping to watch what Jorik does with those 3 white snake-like creatures that are swimming in the lake behind him?
No, I'm going to so far hope that he will outswim them or something. I'll continue to try to get a boat, because I feel like that's the urgent thing.
Because I'm so athletic.
So athletic.
I know.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, with a spear across his mouth, that's easy swimming. Right, so you go scurrying up the ramshackle establishment, and you can see that on the other side there actually is an older boat. It's not nearly as pretty as the gondola which was used. It's a rowing boat, and rather a crude one at that. In the back there appears to be a bucket, a rather repulsive bucket. You can see that there's the heads of it looks like a chicken of some kind, perhaps, if they had reptilian.
Oh God! Is this a feeding boat?
And bits of entrails and things sort of slopping around in the bottom of it. The shed itself has got a set of double doors which open out onto the lake itself, and then there is an old door on the far side of it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for this older boat, sort of push it out and jump in.
All right, you push it out and you sort of jump onto it and it rocks around a bit. Unlike the Windswift, which is an incredibly stable vessel because there's vast amounts of magic involved, this is a rowing boat, so there's lots of rocking side to side and all that kind of thing. But you're fairly dexterous, right?
I have a tail. I'm fairly dexterous.
You have a tail, yeah. So there's a sort of a moment's trepidation. And it sort of settles down a little bit. But you're not very big, and so these oars are quite cumbersome to try and pull backwards and forwards in unison. So that's going to take a little bit of time to come right. But that's...
Can I, before... I don't know how much I can do in a turn here, but...
Right.
The next time I want to do is to grab one of these chicken heads and just throw it, trying to distract these horrible things from trying to eat Yorick.
You'll have to do that.
In the head.
Ow.
Ow.
You'll have to do that next round, but yes, that's certainly something that's totally possible. So that's what you're doing. Yorick, you're busy splashing along, and you look behind you and you can see these three things. They look like eels that are busy following you.
God damn it. Well, I curse. I keep swimming for the most part, and I close my eyes and try and summon an eye of horror in the minds of one of the eels, at least, just to get it away from me. Just go away.
Would you give me a concentration check, please?
Yes.
Floating.
Oh, yeah, that is a 5.
Oh, no.
Close your eyes. You're trying to picture this eye of horror, and then you realize that one of these eels might attack a rather delicate space on you that's closer to them than you are. And
oh no!
On my toes.
Terror, your eye of horror dissipates horribly as you fail.
Well, I tried.
Give me an athletics check, if you please, to see if you can swim faster and pull yourself through this water better.
Athletics -1. Yay. That's still 16, so it's not bad.
All right. You're not doing too badly. You kind of got into the stroke of this long spear sticking out the side of your mouth as you sort of doggy paddling, breaststroking towards the shore. And you've got about 60 foot left to go. Thrash about towards the coastline.
Through pouring out of my mouth.
Creatures. Good luck.
Right. That then takes us from Yorick. That then takes us to Seket. You are currently unable to move, unable to breathe. The whole world around you seems to have gone dark and sort of droned out as if you can't hear anything. And so I'm going to ask you to keep track of the number of rounds that I come past you. And you've got a number of minutes. So although this is in rounds, it's not. It is combat rounds, but just keep track of them anyway. Okay. But you can hold your breath for basically your Constitution modifier +1 minutes. So what is your Constitution modifier?
0.
So you can hold your...
Oh no!
I mean, a minute usually is 10 turns, right? So
right. So you've got 10 turns, correct? Right. That you're holding your breath for, and you can feel that what this bloody creature is doing is it's just moving down your body and hawking out more of these balls. Just encasing you from head to foot in this tomb of this concrete-like stuff. You can give me a strength check, please, if you want to try and break your arm out of this stuff.
You will emerge a beautiful butterfly.
I do want to try and cast Acid Splash, and using one of my sorcery points to do careful spell so I don't take the damage from it. Make a small hole. You're going to try and
cast it on yourself. Right.
Yeah, I just need a small hole around here, right?
Clever girl, clever girl.
Throw acid at your own face. Right.
Having cast careful spell on myself, so I don't have to worry. 'Cause
Right.
that means I succeed, right, on my dexterity saving throw. And
All right. So what I need you to do then, I also ask you for a concentration check, is you've got to sort of figure out it doesn't have a verbal component, does it?
Most spells do.
Most spells do.
That's the problem.
I hurl a bubble of acid.
Yeah, but the components.
Is it acid splash, you said?
Yeah, acid splash.
Yes,
It's verbal and somatic. It's verbal and somatic.
Verbal and somatic. So unfortunately, because your hands are pasted down on either side, you can't bring them together to weave the spell. So it's it's
I can't speak it either.
It's very difficult to articulate. So then that perhaps maybe is when panic starts to set in. You want to try and just physically rip this concrete open?
Okay, let's try, since you've mentioned
Summon your inner Conan. Go.
Ooh, strength.
Just roll the 20 if you roll a 1 or whatever.
Well, no, it's 16 is what it landed
16.
on. So.
Wow. So you pull with all your strength one arm, and it actually does crumble up to the elbow.
Okay.
So you have one hand free, which can get to your waist, sort of your midriff and that sort of thing. So that's what you can.
But it can't get to my mouth. Or my nose.
No, it can get close.
Yeah, you need shoulder clearance, right?
Yes,
Basically.
it can get close, but just not all the way. All right, so that's what you're doing. Con, this very demented halfling prostitute, looks at you with this dagger, and she says, "I'm sorry, sir. I think you're in the wrong place."
Right, really? I see.
So you do know him then?
Your rather inhospitable reaction rather indicates otherwise. I should preface our conversation with this absolute statement that I have in absolutely no way any intention of harming you or interfering with your existence beyond maybe a chat.
The pressure on your sternum gets worse, causing you to have to lean back, or it's going to impale you. We don't like to have conversations here.
I can see that. Well, I'd rather hoped we could do this amicably, but I guess you've given me no choice. If you would kindly just remain where you are. And I cast Hold Person.
Oh boy! All right, so she
puts the palm.
the moment you.
So where's something that I can fight?
All right, so you try and cast Hold Person. The moment you do that, she pushes forward with the blade. No, she doesn't do a very good job of that. All right, so I need you to give me a concentration check, please. The damage is insignificant, so it's just a 10 you need to get above.
That's all right. 18.
Yeah, that's fine. So you take 2 points of damage as she just pushes the blade forward. She was basically holding her action to see if you did anything stupid. But your spell,
she did.
Your spell goes off. She has to make a wisdom saving throw. Is that right?
Yes.
Well, this is an interesting situation because she has the tip of the dagger quite firmly under your sternum, and she stops.
I step off the tip of the dagger.
You have to unimpale yourself. It's like, oh my God. All right.
I've had worse. I'm sure I've had worse.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. 2 points damage. The rest of the facility hasn't seemed to notice that she's stopped moving. They just see this halfling pointing this stiletto at you.
I take the stiletto out of her hand and put it on the nearest available table.
Right. Okay, that's as much as you can do for this round. And that means my eels get to see what they can see, eh? The dice really like you, Jorik. One gets an armor class of 13.
That's a miss.
That's a miss. Wow.
Mm.
All right. You're not wearing your armor, right?
Well, I shouldn't be, right?
No.
I'm not.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Also, I wrote that wrong. It's 11. Yeah, that's a hit.
A hit. A pump.
I was looking at my paper and it was like, that sounds very high. And then I checked my digital one. It's like, yeah, that was high.
2 points of damage as something nips at your ankle.
Ow! Or, sorry.
Argle.
Urgle. There are other bites, and you can feel them sort of getting the leather of your boot and that sort of thing. But this one happened to find...
But those are expensive.
Flesh.
You just jumped with them in water. I mean, how expensive can they be?
The important question is, are they narrow enough to swim up pants legs?
They
Nah.
definitely seem to be.
Don't give him idea.
Getting to the point of the horrifying eye, yes?
Yes. All right, so Saket, you feel another one of these globules splattered down. This one is over your legs, which immediately starts to harden. It's like you've sort of landed in muddy, gooey porridge. So that's what that creature is doing. Con, your halfling is just standing there looking defiantly at you. And back to the top of the round, so back to Blaxton.
I almost feel like I should lunge at him at this point.
Our only ally down here.
Exactly. So you should pick your allies more carefully. All right. So yeah. So basically, my last question was what his approach would be to the entire circumstance, how he wants to deal with Vyx.
Well, you've certainly set into motion something that's going to publicly shame him, which will cause him to want to rebuff that entire process.
Now,
he may summon a senatorial committee to try and expel you from Drow territory for sending slanderous messages across the Republic.
Now, I personally will not slander this person. Hopefully I'm careful enough for that at least. But in 3 days, I have something staged. And I wonder, a person with your kind of influence would be, if it would be possible for you to position people that could shape the public opinion in certain ways. The play will not call out Vyx personally, but a murmur in the crowd could certainly move mountains.
I see you've played this game before. Yes, I can certainly position enough people around to make sure that the play is seen to begin with. Not a lot of people have time for plays these days. But also that, yes, at the appropriate moment, one of them can call out a likeness to Vyx, absolutely. Now, that might mitigate things slightly. Bearing in mind, of course, that the senator, like all decent Drow, is not above using assassins to remove problems either.
Well,
if he has any reason to believe you were behind the play, you could find yourself in trouble.
Well, then that is just something I need to have to deal with personally. Moving openly, or less openly, directly against the Order certainly gives me the opportunity for some more direct measures.
No, I hadn't considered that. I wasn't aware exactly how the Order works. But yes, I suppose if you could get your sigils to light up, that would certainly give you a certain amount of immunity. But I suspect that you would have done that already if you had just cause. what you haven't explained is why are you here in the first place? I understand that there's a whole delivery aspect, but why are you so worried about this halfling?
Honestly,
Hopefully.
I was told to take a look at the situation.
Might I inquire as to whom told you to interfere with Drow policy?
Well, I wasn't aware that I am interfering just for the sake of interfering. I was told to take a look into a situation, and that is what I am. And since Drow are very skilled in not giving information outright, or are not even interested in finding this out, I need to go different ways. And the other thing is, it certainly helps to have friends in the Republic to conduct a personal business as well. So this is a flock of birds with one stone.
I think there might be something more that you're holding back, but I understand one mustn't play with all of one's cards immediately. So what is your next move going to be, he asks, and then I'll come back to you for the answer as we go to Adversai, as you're trying to operate this boat thing, and it's two at the same time, you're going backwards, which is crazy, right? But give me a survival check if you like.
Survival, okay.
Yeah.
15.
If you fail, you don't survive. That's the rule.
All right. 15.
With a 15, you manage to get your strokes kind of in order, and you stick your hand into the chum bucket and grab a head of this thing. And which direction are you lobbing it? Are you lobbing it towards the shed that you've come from, or are you you're not throwing it towards Jorik?
I'm sort of going to throw it near Jorik, sort of behind him where he was, because I don't want it to be too far away from the eels, but I want them to ignore him and go for that. So sort of in his wake.
Right. So there's that horrid moment as you sort of clutch this thing to try and it sort of oozes liquid around your hand, right? And then you hurl it out across the lake, and it's just this spray of bits of pieces of meat, and it lands a good 10 feet away from Jorik. And as it hits the water, there's this cloud of red that starts to seep out. To your delight, all three eels immediately change direction and head towards this floating head.
Someone owes me a new pair of gloves.
To your horror, you can see now emerging from between rocks at least 6 more of these creatures, now all starting to make their way towards this very small head.
That's okay. You'll be out of the water by then. When they're down to the, I'll throw another one. It's fine. It's fine.
I've got a whole bucket here. Look.
Yeah, that's fine. I just dump the bucket if they get ornery.
I got a jar of dirt.
Right. All right. So that's what you're doing. Are you rowing towards the island or towards Jorik, or so you sort of
island?
Rowing towards the island and sort of throwing.
I got a feeling he'll reach it before I am. Anyway,
he will too. Absolutely. Jorik, was he thrashing about? You still swimming as fast as you can?
Yeah, that's pretty much all I do.
Right. So you've sort of seen this splurge behind you, and
you heard it, but yes, it's difficult to turn my head with a spear.
While swimming.
While swimming, yes.
Yes, correct. So you're thrashing about. You make your 3-foot, and you sort of swim even harder. You push it, and your feet touch the ground of the bottom of the lake as you start to wade ashore. Which yes, that's you have to you take all your actions just to get to this wet, drenched but safe. Then Saket.
Right. Okay. So I haven't spent any sorcery points yet. Am I right on that thinking? Okay, great. Okay, well, I'm going to attempt to do so again by doing careful spell on myself, but also twin spell. And I'm going to try and send burning hands in 2 different directions.
I think Twin Spell just works on touch spells. Check that.
This is.
If I'm not
Self. Okay.
pretty sure it's just touch spells.
Okay. Well, all right. I can't do the twin bit, but it's okay. We're just going to try and burn
Wait,
this stuff off
But
my
burning
face.
hands is like this, right? So
Right.
you have like a
Right. Yeah.
really wide arc.
So
Oh,
you're
yes.
you're
I've
trying
got to try and okay. So I guess I've got to do a strength roll again to try and get the other hand out.
Right.
First.
correct. I'll
Let's
let
try
you do
that first.
All right. So with some desperation,
Okay. 11.
you heave and you tug. Now I get to see if the concrete breaks. Oh, and this side must have had more mucus in it and less of the sandy component, because that shatters completely. You've now got your whole shoulder free.
Awesome.
But as you get your shoulder free, you hear this hissing sound from directly above you as the creatures obviously realize that this is what you've managed to do. So that's your movement. So you've got one whole arm free, and you've got the other arm up to the elbow free.
Okay. Can I?
You can do your burning hands, absolutely, but where are you pointing at? I mean, I suppose you can do it like that, right?
Oh, could I do it
Like this, right?
Yeah, so like a Catherine wheel. So you sort of wiggle your fingers as you do that and spray out flame in all different directions.
It's like a water, like
Water spreader.
water spreader, like on the grass, just like just with
Okay.
fire.
Is my hearing good enough to be like, okay, that the creature is really right above
Yes,
me at the
it is.
moment? Okay, let's try and do that. Could the creature do
You're going to try and burn
Quick save.
saving throw?
All right. Well,
Very cool.
it does not expect what you're doing, and you don't know this, but apparently it's standing directly over you, looking at your waving hands as you're around, and you blast that thing with all of your might. Do your damage.
Nice.
13.
Nice.
13 damage. My God. All right.
That's
I
21
really
now.
hope I give you guys a good signal where I am right now.
There is this
Puffs
brief
of smoke.
illumination in the doorway of the mausoleum that sort of flickers as there's fire, and then there's this incredibly loud hissing scream.
Now this was a stone building, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Whew. Any valuable tapestries?
No, thankfully.
Not anymore.
All right, so Saket, that's what you managed to do. Con?
Excuse me. So I relieve her of her weapon and then gently push her over into a chair.
All right. So as she
And-
sort of lands, she immediately starts to
like-
be free to move, right?
No, not push, just like seat her in the chair.
Ah, all right. Okay.
Yeah. And pull up a chair next to her and sort of lean in conspiratorially. So, as you can see, I have a fair amount of control over you. Now, as I said before, I really have no interest in making things unpleasant. But believe me, I can. So I'm going to release you from this magic in a moment, and we're going to have a little chat. Or things can get messy.
The doctor has spoken.
Wow. Okay, lovely.
The
Give me an
choice is
intimidate
yours.
check. You have advantage.
I'm a doctor.
Bloody
you know.
hell, I rolled the same thing on both dice. 8.
Oh,
8. Is that it with your modifiers? It's just
Yeah, that's an 8.
All right. So you give her that speech, and of course you don't have a choice as to when the spell ends. She doesn't know that necessarily, because of course the command spell then
It's whole person, right?
Whole person.
Right.
She gets to make a wisdom save on her turn.
Oh, does she? Oh, so you can maintain it for concentration.
Yeah, it's like a minute.
Ah,
Just a minute.
The gods are with you. Her eyes bulge at you furiously, and you realize that had you released the spell, you quite possibly would have had an irate halfling mauling your head with her body as the spell is keeping her in place, but there's a certain shaking which is happening, which you realize is not her muscles with anger and rage at the way that she's been treated.
I should warn you that you're in danger of bursting a blood vessel or other such injury. Really, you really should calm down. After all, it's not like anyone up there will care what happens to this hovel if you should really cross me.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the doctor is in. Okay, so you are just jamming home the insults there on top of each other, which is fantastic. All right, so the flaming cat, it's completely incensed. All that it starts to do is it just starts to stab wildly with that stinger of its. It's not trying to cover you in cement anymore. Now it's just trying to get rid of this thing that's fire. It doesn't.
It burns.
It burns indeed. You hear the stinger plunging into the ground near your head.
Nice.
Completely misses, of course, as the thing is just flailing around wildly. Not doing anything. The eels, you see that head, Adresai, you look over, and below you down, if that ball of eels don't start to unwrap, leaving behind this very gnawed skull, picked of flesh.
Il piranha.
Nice.
All right, so that's what you see as you're sort of doing your thing. Back to you, Blaxton.
My plan is twofold. The first half I already mentioned. If possible, I would like to take a look at the body itself. The other thing is, if there was this discussion, and this earthquake seems to be very closely related to it, I would probably be very concerned about the citizens that live in that area and take a look and see how I could help them.
They're just farmers. Oh,
Yes.
I see what you mean. Yes, very concerned. Absolutely. I will have an official senatorial decree made that we were all very concerned about them. And I can make a speech perhaps on the importance of the agricultural sector and the contribution that a few backwater farmers bring to diversity of produce or something. I'll make something up. I'm sure I'll be able to get you permission to go out there without too much problem. Again, I expect Vyx to argue against giving permission to foreigners just based on, well, he's got any number of options available to him, but I'll fight him tooth and nail. I suspect that if you were to head that direction after lunch tomorrow, you might find the passage easier than if you went in the morning.
Sorry, after lunch tomorrow, we can go there, basically? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Now, is there anything we could help you, or I could help you with?
No, you are helping me in ways you cannot possibly imagine. Just giving a thumb to Vyx is reward enough. The idea that surfacers might even spit upon him is such an insult that it would be the equivalent of decrying that even ants are laughing at one of your great warriors. It is quite insulting enough. Yeah, sure. Now, would you care for a late luncheon or an early supper, depending on your approach to meals?
I fear I already have, now that I just smile, scheduled date for this with Vyx himself. This is going to be interesting, I think.
You do play a dangerous game. Well, here's hoping that I see you tomorrow.
And I nod and say, is there anything you wish me to convey?
Do not include me in any discussions you might have with Vyx. It would be playing our hand too early.
I understand this. I meant this more of a sense of, like, maybe a side remark that could put him off kilter.
No, I think you've put him off kilter enough. He was supposed to have been done with this business about a week ago. So he has had his plans delayed quite significantly. I do wonder what he's going to do next, given the fact that he's expending quite a significant amount of money on that idiot necromancer that he has in his employ.
Yes. His name was, and that kind of, give me a second here. Vyx.
Yes, absolutely. Strange albino-like creature.
Yes.
Yeah.
Had unfortunate run-ins with these things before.
Yeah. Then let us drink a toast, he says, going back to the drinks cabinet and pouring another brandy on the success of the venture.
And I toast to him and I say, one last question, if I may. Do you know where this Vyx has his bureau, laboratory, where he currently is?
I believe he's ensconced in Vyx's estate. The official line is that Vyx has brought him in to assist with solving some issues with a rather insidious creature known as Ixox. But that is a different matter entirely. I personally think that Vyx is involved with Ixox as well, but that, as I said, is another problem.
Very well. Looking forward to seeing you again.
Absolutely. Adressai, your boat bumps up against the island, the far side of the island, as you have managed to navigate across this lake. What are you doing?
Pull up the boat enough that I can get back into it and then sort of rush towards the...
All right, fine. You think it's stable.
Yeah, rush towards the mausoleum.
All right, so you're rushing towards the bedraggled Jorik and towards the mausoleum. Jorik, you are on the beach. The mausoleum door is 20 feet in front of you and slightly ajar. You can see that Adressai is starting to make their way towards you.
I spit out the spear on the ground and pull my face veil back down and calm my nerves for just a second. And then I dash into the door. Or not into the door, but into the door opening.
The stone door,
with my bow in hand.
Right. So you rush into that doorway with bow in hand, and as you get inside, you can see this big hairless what do you call it? Cat, spider, scorpion thing that is currently lurching over the lower half of Saket. The upper half looks to be like a hand waving around frantically with another arm waving around, and then the rest of the head and the body is covered in this white concrete-like substance.
What the hell have you got? No, whatever. I shoot the thing.
All right.
I imbue the arrow with all my psionic energy I have.
Right.
I'm able to muster just what? That is a 16.
That's a hit. Do damage.
All right. This is going to be maths. Oh my, what? Okay.
The
That's
arrow
13 plus... 13 plus 22, 28, 35.
Well, the
Twang!
sails, the arrow embeds itself deeply into the creature, and
I heal myself with my psionic energy as well.
As it sort of moves around, there's a wrenching feeling that this arrow is now lodged inside of it somehow, and this great torrent of white slime is just gushing out of this open wound. It turns to you in blind rage with this tail that's dripping this green substance, and forgets all about the body that's on the floor and starts scurrying towards you.
Okay.
Back to Saket.
Okay, so...
One arm free.
And I'm free. You have one up to the elbow. Okay. Well, I'm not going to be able to do acid splash still because, yeah. All right, we'll attempt burning hands again.
All right.
So,
You hope that the creature is nearby.
yes, well, I think I can hear it moving.
You can. There's all sorts of. There's shouting. You can hear Jorik muttering stuff under his breath as usual. Maybe not. All right. You fire off your flames. Jorik, you see this pyrotechnic display light up the inside of the room. Nowhere near the creature. It has moved quite far away. But there's this fan of heat that washes out over the tomb. And for a moment, the creature looks behind it to see this whole business, which stalls it slightly in its charge towards you. So
Why did I drop my spear?
right. Yeah, there's that thought. There is that thought. So yes, Saket, your magic goes off. You hope that you've incinerated this creature to ash, but the yelping sound of Jorik might indicate that it's not the case. Are you going to try and break another part of you free?
Yes, I am going. Now I've got 2 arms free. I'm going to try and use my elbows.
You're still at the elbow on the one, remember?
Yes, but I should still be able to use that as some sort of leverage.
So you're going to try and bench press against this,
Yes.
well, a crunch, I suppose. A technical term, clearly, I'm a gym bunny. Right, so what did you...
My face gives that away.
17, you say. All right, so
Yeah.
you start to lift up and pull and scrabble and push and elbow, and you can feel cracks starting to form everywhere, especially around the sort of the neck area, around the shoulders, as you moving and pushing and tugging. So that's what you can sense. That's what you sort of feel can happen. You can sort of feel bits breaking off and crumbling away. Back to you, Con.
So I spend a moment gauging the state of the paralyzed halfling.
Right.
Right. So I do hope that we have some sort of understanding here. And I release the spell. I stop concentrating.
Oh, she looks around, and you follow her gaze to. At first, you dismissed it perhaps as a statue of this particularly well-endowed, very muscular individual. You just thought it was a carved statue of a naked human. But on closer examination, you realize that this very voluptuously carved statue, who's holding a sword in one hand and a shield in the other, gives her a look. It's a questioning look of, what should I do? And she looks back at you. You've got 5 seconds to tell me just what the hell it is that you want, or I'll make sure that the Drow don't even know where to start looking for little bits of you.
Well, you're feisty, that's for sure. If you value your hired help, I suggest you leave it where it is.
It's not moving at the moment, is it? Why are you here?
So why the hostility?
Why are you here, and what do you want?
What is your association with Athlen Vandendar? And don't try and pretend there isn't one, because I think we're well past that now.
Athlen was a frequent user of the ladies in our establishment. He had a particular liking for 2 of them, and would come here whenever he had the spare coin to make use of their facilities.
Right.
How do you know Athlen Vandendar? If I might be so bold.
We'll get to that. You haven't really answered my question after all.
He came here to sleep with the women.
And the mention of his name results in a violent outburst from yourself and the pulling of knives on potential customers. Dropping a name.
He's currently under arrest for murder.
So?
You're a surface dweller to come wandering in here asking after the very man who's under inquest for murder? It's a little bit suspicious, don't you think? You've put in quite a lot of effort to find this place.
It wasn't that hard, I can assure you.
We'll have to try harder in the future, I suppose.
What? I'm sure you have enough clients with clout who'd like to slum it.
We are quite well placed, if that's what you mean. Now, do you have any other questions that I can help you with?
Yes, where are those two young ladies? I'd very much like to hire their time.
Well, at least you can be civil about it, I suppose. Well, it's $1 apiece for an hour.
Ah, well, very reasonable. I give her the gold.
Right.
I presume you have a comfortable room for 3.
It's functional.
I give her another gold. Clean too, I hope.
It will be now. She snaps her fingers and, well, this rather large curtain starts to move towards you until you realize that it's a half-ogre that comes thumping over, followed by another half-ogre that comes thumping by.
Margaret?
And they both stand there with their great big square jaws and big tusk-like teeth and look at you. You're slightly put off by the fact that they have 4 womanly bits, which are quite proudly on display, because to hide them would require possibly the entire canvas that the Windswift can put out, because there is so much of them all.
The insights one gains in one's line of work, sometimes it's the little details about individuals that really brings them to life. Ah, dear Athlen.
That's one way of putting it. Right. So back to the creature. The creature now attacks you, Jorik. It's a stinger-like tail trying to bite into your armor. Natural 20.
That's a hit.
Lucky ones, right? I mean, Saket's been dancing with this thing for hours, and here you are, first shot, bang. All right, natural 20, followed up by a 3, so normal damage. Aren't you lucky about that? But you
hurt anyway.
8 points of damage as the stinger slams into you.
Ow!
And then I need you to give me a Constitution saving throw, please.
15.
15. All right. So it burns slightly, but you sort of shake off the effects that seem to come with it. And yeah, that's what it does. It hisses. It moves around. It smells like the grave. It smells very earthy, which is something that you find a little bit curious, I suppose. You can see that the encased Saket is starting to crack up. As there's this sort of lurching action. The legs are swinging up in the air and the arms are going as she's obviously trying to break herself free and get out of there. Blaxton, where are you heading now?
Out, and I guess I would go to. I guess I would just head back to the estate.
All right. So you're in a carriage.
Yeah. I want to meet Vestasius again, but I probably want to meet her after I spoke with Vyx. So that would be then tomorrow before we go to the Earth. Quakeside.
Right. Makes sense. So you have your sleigh driver that you paid so handsomely, and he will quite happily take you.
Right.
To
I will go back to the Dolundarium.
the Dolendendium.
Dolendendium, and basically wait for Con, and then kind of.
Right, good call. Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing. Adressai?
Yes. I am rushing towards the mausoleum.
Absolutely. No, you managed to run up alongside Jorik just in time to sort of see him lurch backwards with this giant skinless pink tail pulling back with this white poison dripping off the tip of its stinger.
Oh,
and
God.
inside
Ow!
it, a giant cat-like creature.
Ugh. Well, I'm going to cast Ray of Frost, I suppose.
All right, you flare out Ray of Frost.
This poor thing gets fried and frozen.
Right.
14.
14. Well, it hits it. It definitely hits it.
And that is D8 cold damage.
Yes.
1.
Half
And
movement speed.
Its speed is reduced by 10 feet per turn.
Right. All right. So this blue bolt of ice sort of shoots out past you. It clips it just across the back of its shoulder, causing it to hiss at you quite loudly.
It wasn't me.
It seems the one leg seems to be a little bit stuck.
His back.
Yeah, right. Jorik.
Well, I'll let loose another arrow.
All right, make your attack.
If it's melee, you have disadvantage, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's still a plus 6, right? Yeah, 19.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a hit. 2 damage.
I'm not using any psionics, so it's just base damage. Still 13. Wow. Holy
Nice.
crap, these rolls.
Max
Nice.
damage.
Yeah, almost. I can do more.
I can do more.
I can do more.
13
Oh,
damage.
wait, sorry.
I'll have to.
Sorry. 11 damage. I'm bad at maths.
1,000 damage. Oh wait, no, it's 5.
Right. All right. So your arrow buries into one of its legs. This white substance is just spilling out of it now, and it seems to be losing cohesion. Its eyes are sort of not able to focus so well. That tail is drooping, but it's still standing. And that takes us all the way down to Saket. Saket the Entombed.
Yes.
How
I'm really gonna try to break out.
right.
Damn stuff. I need to get this off my face this time.
Right. It is slightly easier now that you cracked it. So
I mean, if I got my hands enough free that I could tear it off my face.
yeah, you can start to rip at it. Absolutely. But
Okay.
if you want to do it quickly, then give me a strength check.
Yep. Okay. Let's do that. Oh, that went really well. 5.
You try and lift it up. You trying to lift up the whole thing, and you realize no, that's just not going to work. So you just start peeling it away. The first thing you do is you pull the chunk away from your face. You take this gasp of fresh air, which it wasn't too long a time that you were encased, but
Long enough.
it's nice not to be where your ancestors are, right? All right, so you're starting to rip this stuff off. You'll be free by the end of the round. You'll have got it all off of you. And it's easy enough to break with your fists around your knees and things to get out of that as well. Saket's acted, so back to Con.
Shall we?
The one lifts her knuckles up and goes... and then hands this very meaty hand in the direction of a doorway with this rather inadequate-looking pink silky thing.
So how tall are these half ogres?
The half ogres stand 8.5 foot. They are massive.
And the accused is a halfling, so he's what, 2.5 feet tall?
Possibly 3 if he was tall. After the execution, he'll be 2 feet.
Uh-huh.
All right. Thanks. I just want the voices in my head back, not the pictures anymore. But other than that.
Yeah, I was just about to say, why did you ask?
So you follow
passed through all of that when they woke up.
Right, so you follow these two giants. They stoop low.
No, after you, really.
They sort of shuffle forward past this pink curtain and down this very narrow passageway. You can
quite a bit.
That there's dents in the walls where they've kind of hit with their shoulders in the past. And they get to this far room, which has this double set of doors, which they push open. And inside, you can see it looks to be, it's a quite a large room. It's obviously the most expensive room in the house, but it looks like it's a wrestling arena of some kind. But the base floor in the middle has a basin in it. And there's this white jelly-like substance that's sort of wobbling gently in the breeze.
As a doctor, one learns to quickly adapt to all sorts of things.
Right.
That might take you aback or make you want to giggle like a schoolboy. But
right.
Con manages not to.
Right.
But his understanding and insight into the accused grows volumes by the moment.
So one of them points to this throne that looks down over this jelly pit and says, "You sit there."
All right.
And then they square off on either side of the pit with one another and then both expectantly look at you.
Fascinating. So you're going to fight in the... Is that gelatin? You're going to fight
lawsuits.
Yes, quite. So I presume what you then do is wrestle?
To begin with.
Fantastic. I had more cerebral activities in mind for this session.
What?
Yeah. Athlen, this is his favorite setup.
Both of them look down at their feet, and one of them actually does this tremendous sniff, which pulls this mucus. It's obviously been sitting in its nasal cavity all the way back along. It sounds like this amazing plumbing runs through the skull, and gives a big swallow at the end of it, as they seem quite affected by the name.
Fond of him, were you?
He was our favorite.
Oh.
Pun hides his hand over his mouth for a moment. I see. Well, yes, it's a shame what's happened, really, isn't it?
Yes.
Did he like to talk to you, or was it all action?
The one looks at the other one very sheepishly and then looks over at you. You're a bit big, it says. And the other one goes to the other side of the arena, and you can see it lifts up the entire stand, which must weigh almost perhaps half a ton, and reaches under a floorboard and pulls out a riding saddle with some saddlebags on it. That you might fit, it says, holding it towards you.
My mum watches this show now.
I don't know what is inappropriate at this moment. This is a reenactment of all sorts of good and wholesome family activities, and the glue is good for the paws. All right, so that's Con. Blaxton, you're in your carriage ride, so there's not much happening unless you. All right.
Are you proud yet?
Oh, she's so proud. If she hasn't disowned me for the rest of it so far, I don't think this will push her over the edge.
Right. All right.
Somewhere in Con's mind, Con opens the door and goes, I'm checking out now.
Right.
Happy place, happy place.
Happy place. So, Adversary, speaking of a happy place, there's this giant cat about to attack and maul you.
Yeah, oh, nice.
You should be used to that.
Right.
Not lately.
All right. So, what are you doing?
I'm going to cast Gust of Wind, actually, on this thing. Basically, it's a line of strong wind that sort of just pushes things back.
Right.
Creatures must succeed on a strength saving throw. We pushed 15 feet back.
Wow. It fails that strength saving throw, but just so, and it's sort of forced backwards. The wind you can see is tearing at those wounds that Jorik has managed to inflict so far, as this poor thing is dragged and pushed and pulled in all different kinds of directions.
Also, if it wants to move against the wind, it has to spend 2 feet of movement for every one that it comes forward.
That it comes forward. All right.
So it's very slowed down by now.
Correct. So it's now 15 feet away from you and from
Yes.
Jorik. All right. So that's what you have done. Jorik?
I hit it with Eye of Horror. Fuck this thing. It's gonna die.
Your Eye of Horror, hopefully it works.
Die!
It completely fails. So what are the effects of Eye of Horror?
It takes... Wow, these rolls are amazing. 16 points of psychic damage and cannot move until its next turn.
Wow. All right. Well, that completely causes the entire creature to... It backs up for a moment, its head shaking, and then it lets out this horrendous mewling sound, and you both watch as the tail just starts to stiffen up, and then it collapses onto the ground, and its legs kind of wrap up underneath and around itself as it forms this ball, and then quivers, and then stops moving completely.
Yeah.
That's a fitting end.
What can I make the wind stop?
The wind stops. Saket, you sit up. I'm free!
Eventually, yes.
What the hell are you doing in here?
What was that?
I don't know, but there isn't a body in there.
What?
No. Let's just say, if anyone else asked to look at the body of the senator, the answer is no.
I walk over to the sarcophagus and I check.
The lid is still in place because when she stepped back off, the creature slammed shut.
Right. Do you mean this one? This is empty.
Oh. Well, it wasn't. It had that thing in it.
I can't imagine you had a lot of time to actually investigate the thing.
No, this is very true. The investigation time was limited, but that's what came out of the sarcophagus, and I have not seen one of those before.
I'm very carefully lift it, ready to slam it back down again if there's any movement.
All right, so you get ready. You're opening up the coffin again. That's all right. So that's what you guys are doing. Oh dear God, I'm going to skip that one. No, all right. I'm going to come back to you, Con. Give me a perception check, if you please.
12.
As they're holding the saddle, the bags on either side, there is no reason for them to contain anything because, well, I mean, in theory, there's no reason for them to contain anything. They're purely there as a sort of decoration. But you can see the one has definitely got quite a heavy weight in it because of the way it sort of falls to the side as she holds it lopsidedly and looks at you expectantly.
Maybe later. If you may have a look at that, actually. It's rather well made.
She hands the saddle
Commission it
over,
personally.
and you realize that it's a lot bigger once you're holding it than when this giant ogre is holding it. But yes, it's definitely a halfling's riding saddle, not a very well made one, and it's tacky. There's bits of glue in it all over the place. But the saddle bag, you open that up.
That's what I'm calling it anyway. Yes.
You open that up. You look inside, or you?
Yeah, gently, I don't know. I'm guessing whatever it is isn't going to explode given the context, but, I don't just plunge my hand in either. I just have a look.
Right. As you open it up, inside, you can see this very curious shaped teardrop stone, quite a big and heavy one, just sort of nestled there.
Curious. Very curious. Well, do please begin with the wrestling.
Well, Con, we knew you had great depth. We didn't think they were this low. All right, so you start watching the half-ogre wrestling match. What are you doing with the stone, by the way?
Well, once they're well and truly occupied in their activities, I relieve the saddlebag of the stone.
All right. Would you give me a dexterity check, saving throw, please?
Oh, Lord. 12.
12, right. To your horror, as you've got the stone out and you're putting it into your own bag, one of the ogres lurches upwards and screams, "Hey, you!" and runs her hand up her chest and flicks this gunk in your general direction. And you realize that this is obviously part of this whole charade. Yeah, you raised your hand up and there's this peltering of corpse glue type of substance that splashes all over you. Blaxton, you arrive at the Dolendendium, and there is a messenger waiting quite patiently for you. A young Drow boy is standing there, and he simply hands you a note, quite a well-sealed note.
I'll give him a silver and then leave and take a look at the note.
All right.
Leave to my room.
Sure. The note is written in a very elegant handwriting. This compares to some of the finest writing that you would have seen within the courts and upper echelons of the Brunei Kingdom. It simply reads, "I am so looking forward to our meeting this evening. I have heard a great many things about the Order, and I cannot wait to meet its valiant captains. Senator Vyx."
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I knew that it was him. Yes. Yeah. All right, that's fine.
So that's what you get from that. Yes, they haven't seen Con when you sort of make general inquiries. He hasn't yet returned, by the sounds of things.
May never return.
All right, so Blaxton, that's your side of things. Back to the three of you. I'm going to treat all three of you now as one, as we no longer in a combat sort of situation. So you were looking inside the crypt again. Okay. Can all three of you give me an investigate check as you're sort of looking around at this sarcophagus, this crypt? I need a combined total of above 45.
21.
I got 20, which is not natural.
So did you manage to get 4?
Yeah, I got 8 actually, so that's
Hey, good enough.
Right. So the two of you
I rolled 2.
investigated thoroughly. You, Jorik, maybe you were more focused on the arrow tip and making sure that it would definitely puncture any wounds that may come up. And what you two ladies realize is that part of the complicated sarcophagus design, which it's really intricate, and there's battles of drow fighting dwarves, you think, and there's all sorts of inscriptions and words and things. Very cunningly built into the side of it is this teardrop-shaped stone. And that has been built into the inscription, built into the relief of the carvings and that sort of thing. And it's definitely separate from the whole device, but it's been specifically built in such a way that it looks as if it's part of the entire carving.
Is there a symbol on it?
Absolutely, there's a symbol for earth on it.
Huh.
Oh,
Wait a minute. Didn't you say earlier? Yes.
Yes.
That there
Oh
was
my
a
God.
symbol that went with the
Yes.
other one.
Hey, smart people! What?
What? Look at this. Look at this. This was in the book.
Wait, what? The book that you're reading as well?
Yes. Oh, I have to tell you about the book.
What's
Look,
the-
I pull out my knife and I start to try to sort of
Pry it up.
pry this loose.
It actually comes out a lot easier than
You realize that we are grave robbing.
Shush. Not important right now.
Right now.
you
All right,
stone.
you do that. I try to clean up the white gunk so it looks like we were never here.
That could take some time.
You realize that you sort of spreading the white gunk everywhere. There's very little hope of covering your
Well, you could throw the thing in the lake or something.
and of course then there is that big body that
Yes, I think trying to cover our tracks here is irrelevant. I think it's going to be fairly obvious that somebody was here killing something.
Yes.
Why?
And considering that they know that we were here.
On the other hand, I have a feeling Blaxton may appreciate us cleaning up the mess.
You're just beyond caring at this point.
you look inside the sarcophagus.
Yes.
She can. I'm
Yeah,
not
we
doing
did
that.
do that. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's the first thing.
Now, inside there is this very withered, very emaciated drow male corpse.
There is something in there.
Yeah, you were distracted by this thing bursting out. He's quite deep inside the sarcophagi, but yes, very much. It looks as if half his face has been eaten away by acid, particularly around the mouth region, but otherwise very, very dead.
Yes.
Cause of death poison, do we think?
Who would
Ask the
That's what they
doctor.
said.
Yes, definitely. Something was ingested that did not react well to saliva, I suppose, or you're not entirely sure. You can give me a medicine check if you really want to probe into the.
Well, I'm
mouth.
not. That's not my forte at all. So, is there any way of taking a sample to give to the doctor later?
Don't touch it, please, no.
I don't want to touch it.
Do not desecrate the corpse. Okay? Stop.
I think we found one of Torik's lines here.
Do not desecrate the corpse.
Yes.
No,
So,
that's
yeah. You don't think you probably would have to take like the whole head.
That's just too much of a sample. That we can
Look, we are in
Right
enough
now.
trouble as it is. Can we please just take the stone and leave?
right. As far as I can tell, is this like the stone made out of that strange extra dimensional material, or is it representation?
You look at the stone, and it doesn't look like it is. It's got that brown sort of tone that the rest of the sarcophagus stone is made out of. Except where you see where your knife has scratched against its surface to pluck it from the socket that it was in, it's scratched away what can only be described as paint, and underneath there is this blue stone.
Ooh, pretty.
Claw.
Right? Absolutely.
Yes, this is definitely what we came here to find.
Right.
Tuck that away safely somewhere.
Are we all agreed that we've got as much information as we could possibly get from?
Yes, can we leave now, please?
Yeah, I have a feeling we should actually just
Right.
leave the estate.
Well, there is the meeting with Vyx.
Yes, there is the.
Aw.
Well, we are servants. I guess we don't have to show up. But oh my.
Yeah, I think getting the artifacts to a safe place is possibly the best thing to do.
Probably. Especially considering that.
Wherever that
yeah,
is.
we were heard before when I did the loud talking, weren't we?
What? Hang on, sorry.
That
what?
is why we ran away.
Yes,
Right,
yes, I
right.
see that now.
Right.
No, we should probably get this book out of here. You're right.
Okay.
The book and the stone needs to go away from here. And
Yes.
Knows that we have the book, but not the stone. Okay.
Well, if they know the stone was here, they probably can assume that we have it now.
We've got
Yes.
all the boats, right?
Can we discuss this on the boat?
Yes,
All right.
of course.
Of course. The three of you. Con, how long are you staying for this display so we can move along?
I figured that they're probably not going to be a source of much more information. The stone in the saddlebag is pretty curious. I don't know what it is or why it is, but he clearly thought it was important enough to hide here. Are there any windows?
Very high up, and they sort of let in this very, very weak light. They're not designed for much other than just a little bit of illumination.
I take 4 more gold coin out of my pocket and I jingle them and I sort of put them on the throne.
Right.
And sort of pat them a bit absentmindedly. Great show, ladies. Thank you ever so much. But alas, I didn't realize what time it was. I must be on my way. Please accept this gratuity by way of my apologies for, leaving you all greased up and nowhere to go. So as I'm backing up towards the door out.
Right. They look at you, they look at the gold coins. They kind of give you a grin. Come back soon.
Will do. Scrabbling at the door handle.
Right, so you make your way back out again. The halfling kind of looks you up and down. She sees the glue splotch, and she very, very professionally doesn't necessarily react too much. There's a drink on the house if you like. Otherwise, if you're on your way, then that's that.
That's lovely, but no, I really should be getting on. Such an interesting evening. I have to thank you for possibly the best trip I've had ever, and I didn't even have to take anything. With that, I exit.
Right. She doesn't.
That kind of trip.
Where are you heading now? Are you going to head back to the hotel?
Back to HQ.
All right. So,
Are you okay, Simon?
Sure.
So Simon Blaxton is you. I suppose are pacing in your room when a very grime-stained con walks in, followed by several of the hotel staff who are busy cleaning up as he walks over there.
I need a bath.
The pristine.
Yes.
Someone draw me a bath.
And new clothing too, please.
Yes, so it takes you a good sort of half hour to scrub up and change kit to something that doesn't contain most of the lower sissy or any sort of.
Oh, that's better.
Are you wrestling pigs?
I suppose I can't fault your choice of upgrading the accommodation. Blaxton, this is rather nice.
Yeah, sure.
So, do tell. Never guess.
I kind of look around and say, well, I had an interesting afternoon. Quite successful, I might add. And I'm looking forward to I fear, my lunch, my scheduled lunch. I fear maybe that you and the other captains are not invited in this particular event, but
Bollocks.
I think it makes sense to get the band back together.
Yes, well, they're not here.
I think they're still at the, what is it, Half Moon Estate or something you call it?
Crescent Moon.
Crescent Moon Estate.
Well,
I think they're still at the Crescent Moon Estate, and I have a taxi waiting.
oh. I look longingly at the food that I just ordered to the bath side of my bath. Yes, I guess we could go now. I just get dressed.
Please.
As you're on your way out. Yesenium is dutifully waiting for you as you step out of the hotel, and he cracks the whip on the giant spiders, and they all start moving off towards the Crescent Moon Estate. Back to the three of you at the Crescent Moon Estate. What are you doing?
Leaving.
Yes, but
So
does
we
there
get-
a carriage to our disposal? Is there any way of hiring one on the estate?
Yes, there is.
Horribly-
Absolutely,
horribly.
absolutely, there is. The estate butler looks at the three of you and rather despairingly, "Are you leaving us so soon?"
Our master gave us a very important job, and we really must go and do it. So we're wondering if we can just borrow some carriage, and yeah, we have to go.
I'm sure I can get the gardener to take you into town if that's what you,
The old one?
if that's your preference.
I think that would be
drives?
best.
Very well.
I
I'll make
did
sure-
threaten to stab him, but okay.
Whichever one drives faster will do.
One of these spider-drawn sleighs is brought round, and you can see that it is the old gardener, but he looks at the three of you as if he hasn't even seen you before. And once you're on board, he sort of cracks the rather large spiked chain which is linked to the spider's carapace, and that causes it to lurch forward and start moving. And so it happens to be that at about 2 miles out from the Crescent Moon and a few miles out from the city district, your two sleighs happen to come across one another, except going in different directions.
Do we notice?
Oh, absolutely. The one sleigh has to pull to the side for the other one to pass.
I mean, we're going through tunnels. It's hard to miss each other.
Right. Exactly
So,
right.
I mean, but do we notice it's Blaxton and
Oh,
Connor?
yes. Oh, they're open top.
In that case, it's like,
There's no
stop,
chance of rain.
Yeah, we can get out here, I think.
No,
Hop over.
no. We should just tell them what we need to know. They need to know and keep going. We need to
Yes,
first.
right. Could you wait for a second while we confer with our master over here?
Out of their earshot.
I
Yes.
suppose I can wait.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Give
thank
you
you, thank
extra
you, thank you,
gold
thank you.
coin.
All right. So the three of you scurry over to Blaxton and Con's wagon.
Enthusiastically clamber into the other sleigh. Just,
Right.
we have so much to tell you.
Wiley.
Why are you...
You are not going to be happy.
Might be.
No.
Look, suffice it to say, we have something that
Okay, you start.
to be
Good
taken.
news first.
So we are not in earshot of our taxi driver at this
Well,
point.
Yesenium is still sitting there, but the moment he starts to hear this kind of conversation, he leans over and he says, "I think I'm going to take a smoke break, if you don't mind, sir. I'll just be standing about 120 feet over there."
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
exactly.
And as he climbs down, he calls over to the gardener. "Oh, you don't deserve to hear this either. Come with me, you old bastard." And the two of them walk out. You see you sort of tapping a cigarette, and they start to share it quite some distance away.
Oh,
Were you okay, Blaxton?
Believe where that.
I thought I had an interesting day and quite successul.
Look,
No,
suffice
Blaxton.
without saying
Without
too
even
much.
hearing your story, I know for a fact that mine is better.
Look,
Wow, what happened?
no matter what, there's something very important here. This is that the thing that you gave me, Blaxton,
The book,
we need
yes.
to get it out of that mansion and to a safer location.
I hope you have it with you and didn't leave it
Yes, of course I have it with me. I also have another thing with me that we found in a place, that is also extremely valuable. So we didn't feel that it was
steal
safe.
something.
Well, stealing is a very harsh word for what just happened, but it doesn't really matter. I feel like this.
I think it matters. We are the.
What did you get?
Do you realize when we entered the Drow Republic, what you put underneath the contracts when you entered?
Oh yes, I've read that whole thing. But
yes,
look,
then you do know what happens to people who steal. I hope it is just stolen, by the way.
No, we're just looking after it for them.
What is it?
A bit like the Elgin marbles.
I take out the book and the stone and I hold them up and say, this is thousands of years old. This is probably the most powerful magical book and artifact that I've ever seen, heard about, read about.
There's a resemblance between her stone and my stone.
Well, almost identical. Your stone has a different shape on it.
Well, when she pulls that out, I go, bloody hell. Well, I certainly don't believe in coincidences.
Where did you find the stone?
It was in the sarcophagus.
On the sarcophagus.
What?
I told you weren't going to be happy.
That they buried that man in the mausoleum.
It was part of the decoration of the senator's...
Yes.
You went into the sarcophagus of the... What?
Well, technically we followed her there, but it doesn't really matter. Look, it was part of the decoration on the sarcophagus. I merely removed it from there. It's not necessarily something
that... You went into a Drow sarcophagus, Drow mausoleum, to rob a deceased senator and desecrate his tomb?
I realized there could be repercussions.
See, I told you this.
Do you know what they will do to you when they find out?
No, I don't really want to find out.
Look, either way, done is done. This thing is... Look,
You don't even show remorse for this! What is this? What did you tell you in the academy?
One moment, Blaxton, one moment. This could be quite significant.
Yes!
Adressai, please, tell me this has something to do with dragons or we are fucked.
I fished my stone out of my bag and plunk it next to her stone.
Okay, where did you get that from?
Oh, you have the second one. Where did you find this? Tell me everything.
Vandendar. Well,
yes?
Everything.
The relevant stuff.
Let's just say that our friend Vandendar had left it for safekeeping with his favorite ladies of virtue, negotiable virtue.
Well, I'm not sure that makes sense, but all right. Look, this book was written by, in part, or possibly owned by or used by the one that created the anchors, the stones, the druid.
Oh, really?
Yes, this is possibly what allowed him to do that, which means that whatever this is, it could possibly allow someone to undo it as well, which means that I'd say it's highly, highly connected to what we're doing.
And what exactly are these stones, you know?
There's some kind of focus as far as I can tell. This is incredibly complicated stuff, and I only had like an hour to look at it.
You are certain of this?
Because
if so, then...
It's kind of...
Then we might be good.
Good?
Who was doing what with the book, anyway?
Yes, Blaxton, good. If it's official order business, we're in the clear. If we're not, we're screwed.
Even if this is official order business, we're not the Arch Relica.
It's our responsibility to call them if we come across this sort of stuff.
Yes, but we cannot go around breaking laws willy-nilly when we are not even on official business.
I agree.
Well, we did find something that we are lawfully allowed to investigate if we suspect that there is something going on.
Yes, investigate, and that's what we did.
Yes,
until we went
investigating
and steal people's belongings.
Grave robbing, technically.
Look, so far...
And to start with, actually, to be clear, Blaxton, you did start by stealing the book.
Yeah, hang on.
Yes, that's true, but I didn't want to bring it out of their estate.
Well, now we kind of have to do it.
I wanted to investigate the book, what it was, because she mentioned
Sometimes things
Oh, look,
just
we're
aren't-
all borrowing stuff for this investigation, all right?
Yeah.
I think that so far we need to find out what's going on, and we need to figure out what was done with this thing at the earthquake site before we can concretely say whether or not it's something that we have.
I am with you. I am absolutely with you.
Good.
But we need to keep this on a down low and not just like take stuff with us.
Well,
If
what they're
anything
supposed to
else
do
happened, I should know about. Because I'm going in there and having a dinner with possibly the biggest foe we have in the Drow Republic.
Mm.
Well,
the business
Vandendar
partner
likes
of
to
mine.
ride
There
around
might
on
be
top
a
of Hearthburger prostitutes after they've fought in the jealousy.
Not relevant right now. Please don't complicate us any further.
No, wait, that sounded quite interesting. Sorry, carry on.
No,
I'm just
wait,
trying
wait.
to break the
Okay.
tension.
Blaxton, let me sum this up for you.
Please, do.
First off, you stole the book. Second off, we stole the stone from the grave of Tolriarius.
And we killed something on the
We
island.
killed something on the island that tried to
Some
kill us. It was
kind
not
of
sentient, so
scorpion.
don't worry. Con has stolen the stone from...
I did, well, maybe.
Yes. You stole the stone.
Technically, the stone was in the possession of a condemned criminal, so it's less of a problem.
Yeah, so it's evidence. Great, you stole evidence.
Irrelevant
Fantastic.
then.
That makes it better.
Oh, they don't care about
I don't think
evidence,
the
yeah?
Drow care about that particularly.
And someone may have overheard Adrosai get a little bit exciting over the book. I
I
don't know this for sure, but it's possible.
Well, we
What
don't know where
kind of
that's going to lead, and we'll just-
That's why we're leaving right now,
Yes.
because I may have gotten a little overexcited, which I want to believe that you would have as well if you'd seen what I had.
Perhaps.
Point is, we need to take the book and the stone somewhere safe, and
Okay.
you can go about
Okay,
your dinner.
okay. So,
Need a further
My-
discussion.
I already spoke with this about this with Con.
Hmm?
We originally came here on request, not order,
Yes.
of the Archon to investigate what's happening with the halfling, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
As well as some personal issues I mostly have dealt with.
Well.
Your revelations about the book and apparently these two stones
Yes.
seem to me that they are the reason why we're here, not this.
This useless halfling. He
Well,
does not seem
not this
important.
halfling. I don't know if you felt the same when we got this request, but I didn't feel that we were told the entire truth about the situation.
Well,
So-
I'm starting to feel that too. now.
I am, because
Obviously,
we
order.
felt, or at least you felt obligated to help this person. I embroiled myself in somewhat political machinations at this point.
Okay.
And I cannot just leave at this point. At least I need to bring certain things to a closure, so I will not have assassins sent after me.
Well, we technically cannot leave anyway, because if someone finds out we stole these things and we are not on official order business, we're not getting out of the
Well-
underworld or whatever this place is called.
Well, since you're so good in breaking laws, there's one thing you can do. Go to the Vyx estate, get in there. Vyx is not at home right now. Find the mage that is sitting there and find the draconic artifacts that he has in his possession. Then we can get official order business for sure.
What mage?
Wait, what? Draconic
Oh, that sounds like
artifacts?
fun.
What mage are you talking about?
Yes. This is conjecture at best. But I don't think we can get the power to get out of here just with what we have right now. Because again,
Maybe.
we can
Yeah.
try, but I fear since this is not directly involved with draconic artifacts or what particularly to us, draconic worshippers, at the least,
Yeah.
this will fall under our thing. But
Yeah, this would be
I
more
told you about
tyrannical.
the whole construction with the future thing. I know that the mage I killed is alive,
Yes.
and that he is right now at the estate of Vyx and working for him with some kind of monster. So be careful. But I also know that he had, and again, here's the conjecture part, draconic artifacts in his possession in the future.
Well,
Which
then
happens
this
already.
would be official business for us to investigate because
Right, but
probable cause that
things
he
are
has
different right now than they
Oh,
were.
you mean that he possibly doesn't have draconic artifacts in this timeline?
Yes.
we still have to investigate
Huh.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Can we?
But without
Take the
proof,
book and the stones. To
it is not. We are not the Drow. We cannot just act upon assumptions that are from the future. I might add, that could happen. I might add.
Mm.
So
I see where you're going with this.
I understand what you're going. That it's a good idea, but more than anything, we need to find out what happened at this disaster site.
we can do this tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah.
I've arranged for something.
We have more days.
All right, good.
If there are draconic artifacts going around, we need to absolutely investigate that
Yes,
first.
I agree.
That's-
That is something I wanted to speak about and do in a more relaxed manner. But since you go around killing stuff, breaking into...
Oh, it's just some monster.
There was some kind of scorpion
Yeah,
cat
but
thing.
more
They
specifically,
tried to kill me.
defiling deceased senators.
What
I
about
think-
my mind? It's been defiled for life.
We can talk about that later, Con, okay?
Well, there's
Then I
plenty of time.
Then I don't know if you agree with me, but I think we should hurry. And those are the information that I found out. I found out about this mage. I found out where he is. I know where Vyx is right now. And I hope I don't die when I go back into this estate right now.
Yeah, I was just about to say, please
You're
don't.
sure you have
Yes.
to go alone?
You should have someone with you.
Take Con and we'll go to Vix's.
Die
estate.
together, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, you die with Con and we'll go die on Vix's estate with the yeah.
I
That
think
sounds
I
fine.
think I think it will be hard to get Con into the diner room as well. The situation they know kind of about the circumstances as he is a servant. And I don't
That's
think
fine.
Do we?
You mentioned that you can detect poisons or deal with poisons, right?
I can deal with poison, yeah.
Okay, good. Because if they intend to kill you, it's likely going
Oh,
to be poison.
By the way, if you already found the body, do we know that he died via poison at this point?
He seemed to have died the exact way the halfling described him to. Something necrotic ate half his face. So it's likely a necrotic poison.
Hmm.
Well, I hope it doesn't work too fast then.
In addition, the poison was not actually poison.
Hmm?
The thing
Because-
that was in the halfling's wine and was found in the halfling's chamber was not poison. It was a contraceptive. The maid
What?
found it. So
Oh, when
Well,
she
not
was
a-
there with the gardener.
yes,
Fine.
the real poison has not been found.
Well, fine.
Oh, that's
Yes.
interesting.
I don't think that at this point matters, do you?
I don't know. Not yet. It's just an interesting fact that you can keep in mind if
So-
it comes up, but I don't think it will.
Yes.
But we'll
Yes.
keep it in mind.
So, does this sound reasonable for everybody? Do you really want to? This will be dangerous
Yes, but
for both.
I
groups.
agree definitely that we must investigate this mage. Kruvix was his name, did you say?
Kruvix.
Yes, we
He
definitely must
is,
investigate.
and I look at Con at this point, an ice elf.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Excuse me, what? I thought they were dead.
Hey.
Extinct.
Well,
Hmm.
not everybody. We killed a few before. It sucked. I'll tell you another time.
We are acquainted, yes.
All right.
But
We'll keep them in mind.
but the other ice elf we killed also had dragon artifacts. So there seems to be.
Sophie, you wanted to say something?
No, I'm good.
No, good, Con? No? Sorry, I thought you wanted to say that. All right, well, on that note, where this plan is starting to come into action and the sleigh's now part, Con, are you going with the three? Or you, that's what I'm picking up? Right, so as Blaxton sails off, Lord of his sleigh, the four of you head
Good luck,
off.
Blaxton.
Yes.
Don't
Godspeed
come
to you
back
too.
dead.
I won't come back, Dad.
Right, you head off to Consinii, and we will be with you again next week
Oh.
as the adventures of the Windswift continue, as things start to hot up, perhaps. Oh, well, who knows? After this episode, if YouTube doesn't ban us, I don't know what will happen. All right, anyway. Stay behind for what promises to be a very interesting review of the episode. Hopefully not for certain parts, of course. Anyway, until next time, thanks for watching. All right. Well, there we go. That was
crazy.
I don't know where this stuff comes from. It's like it was just supposed to be a brothel investigation. I don't know where it comes from. I swear.
I was just expecting
salacious mind.
It is. It's like, what the hell is going on?
Stereotypical ladies of the night. And
yes, well, that's what I was trying to do.
No.
I mean, that's where it came from.
And Con had to juggle 8 breasts, okay?
Right.
So, like,
That's easy. No, so that literally, it was the
certainly one of my more memorable gaming experiences.
Yes.
Right. And you know, the thing is it's the brothel. The brothel was the plan to find the second stone. This wasn't necessarily the order that you were supposed to find it in, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's been found. But when you arrived there, I was sitting there going, you know, I've got it written down as go to brothel. This is where Vandendar would go.
Vandendar.
He's hidden it in this place, right? And you're going to have to coerce the prostitutes in some way to give you that information. Half ogre giantesses came out, and then you wanted to go with them. I was like, okay, what do you do with 2 giant half ogres? And then Blaxton's little comment was,
I was just expecting a big bed.
4 foot, 3 foot tall. I was like, oh my God, you had to go there. All right, well, what do you do with a half ogre? Apparently you put a saddle on it. I don't know. Anyway, so that's where these crazy things come from. Anyway.
Collaborative storytelling. Welcome to it.
Collaborative storytelling, right? And role playing, right? Where we
right, role play, yeah. No, it was there was a lot of role playing going on actually. I quite enjoyed that.
50 Shades of Con.
Right.
Don't even.
50 Shades of Ogre.
I considered myself a man of the world.
Right. Now you've definitely you've seen it all. All right, so let's start with you, Con. What are your thoughts on this episode? Quite a lot has sort of happened quite quickly, I think.
Yes, I was entertained by it all. First off, the antics of my fellow captains has meant that the fact that we're split up doesn't mean you feel bored, because I'm quite taken in with what's going on. So that's great. The plot thickens as it always does. And I think Con is probably quite relieved that he has a direct problem to tackle now.
Yes, breaking into the senator's estate. Yes.
Now we're talking.
The second estate.
We're not in enough trouble. Obviously, we need to just go full on with this.
Right.
I mean, at this point, if we're gonna get killed, if we don't get our beacon activated, then
right.
So be it.
Right. No, it's
all in, right? That's what the poker players would say.
Right.
I'm kind of concerned about the fact that we don't really know what we're doing with this book and pair of stones, which also apparently are.
So maybe this is something we should speak about at the beginning of next session, where we actually want to bring the thing. Do we want to bring them back to the estate with me? Do you four want to bring them, or do we want to hide them somewhere? Right? I mean,
yeah, we should speak about that.
Yeah.
Lord
so, I mean, I want to, or me/Atrasai wants to keep working on this book. They definitely want to go have a word with that entity that was inside and try to actually have some kind of conversation, which I think would be very interesting.
I would leave that to the Octorelli if I were you, but okay.
Don't.
Wrong order. Yeah.
Yeah, wrong order.
And the Windswift isn't looking for a new captain once more.
One is currently lost in the book. No, she really got into that book.
Where's your captain? On the shelf there.
Yeah.
Just fold it up.
Right.
Waiting patiently. One day she might return.
Right. She might come back. Absolutely. Blaxton, what did you think? Is there now a plan? I mean, you've got the Senator Nasri on your side by the looks of
Well, there's something I haven't played all my cards yet. There's something that will come still.
Right. So
I will not reveal just yet.
All right.
But
I'd say Con is happy to play Blaxton's Watson at this stage.
But as a player, this was fun. Even though it was a little bit kind of disjointed to our kind of specifically, I think kind of splitting the party is absolutely fine as long as there's not fighting. If fighting comes into play, it gets a lot harder and kind of disjoints the fight for one and makes it awkward to roleplay as well. Even though I think due to the depth of the plot and all the different things that we need to think about, kind of if we want to work with that, I had a lot to do, even if the fighting would take a little bit of time because 3 players were involved in that. So it was absolutely enjoyable for me. I like to figure things out off game as well and kind of try to find avenues to kind of play with what I can. So yes, that's great. I think absolutely the plot was unraveling, and again, not my character not knowing certain things, he couldn't kind of change course just drastically because I as a player know, and that's kind of one of the hardest things kind of to cope with, I think. I hope I did well. You never know. You can never really completely remove yourself from the game, obviously.
No, absolutely.
But when we kind of met outside of the estate and kind of realizing what actually happened, things kind of became... It seemed to me as a player, and possibly obviously because of that also as a character, that I play, that it seems inevitable what needs to be happen now. We need to do this now quickly. That time, now that so much possible problems can arise, like the it's now or never, right? It's like, as I said, like as a poker player, you bluffed, and now you need to go all in, because if you don't, then you get called, right? So we need to do this like now. And yeah, I had planned to do the Nasri thing, talk with Vyx a little bit, try to get invited into his estate, and then make this more subterfuge way. Like that was kind of my idea earlier. But yeah, with that kind of being so openly now almost impossible to hide.
Right.
Yeah, I think I just came to, like, when we were speaking, I was like, wait, he is not home right now.
Yes, that was a particularly interesting play to suddenly throw on everybody, and I liked how everyone sort of
Not a bad one.
Yeah, and okay, so here's the last thing I'm going to say. I think I was very, like, maybe abrasive in that last scene, but I always try to get, like, if you're okay with this, like, what do you guys think about this? Try to get kind of lower the amount of, like,
right
orders, right, a little bit, because that I know this as a person, as a player, I can kind of tend to kind of fall into that a little bit, and try to rein. It's one of my obviously one of my weaker sides as a player, and I'm aware of this, and I try to rein myself in at times with that. So
I didn't feel to me as if you were giving orders at anybody else. It did seem as if you were sort of consulting and trying to make the best of a rather catastrophic situation. I did like how everyone was sort of describing, you stole what? Well, yes, but that's not the point. Well, what about you?
No, too late now.
Well, actually, no, I did steal something too. Okay, all of us stole stuff, right?
I knew I stole something, but I actually didn't want to bring it out. I wanted to know what this book is, right? And then yeah.
Absolutely. Sickette, quickly, what you've survived that creep.
I've survived, which is great, and it's like, yes, things are starting to move, and she can start putting strands together and
blowing things up.
Which is great, because she loves her blowing experimental stuff, so that's all good. So yeah, I think on a sort of character level, she's in a happy space right now, even though she's perhaps not behaved legally.
Possibly going to be executed by the Drow Republic. I mean, happy place though.
Happy place.
Possibly illegal.
If
it comes out, I will absolutely be executed, but it could possibly be illegal.
No, absolutely.
I think it's grey area. I think we can argue otherwise.
I mean, obviously, I absolutely understand why you did what you did, right? But it's always interesting to try to figure out: do you adhere to the law and try to go diplomatic about it, or do you go like pragmatic, right?
Correct.
And she at the best of time isn't probably thinking straight. So yes, and I must apologize. I called the Parthenon statue some terrible name, so please ignore that, everybody. I was born in the 1980s. It's hard to let things go sometimes, as the British know very well. The British Museum is full of stuff we have borrowed. No,
Borrowed. Right. Yes, absolutely.
On a cultural level, I'm quite used to borrowing artifacts.
This is actually not an interesting point. There's something that can come up depending on if we speak about this like after the fact. That could be quite interesting about like cultural things, because there's certainly maybe a different opinion that Blaxton has that from what I personally have. So
yeah, absolutely.
If it comes up, it comes up. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Sure. As a sort of someone based on the Egyptian culture, I should be absolutely horrified that anything is taken by anybody else.
But then again, you say that, except that the Egyptians made their booby traps and things to keep other Egyptians out, not to keep British explorers 2,000 years later out.
Well, I'm sure they weren't thinking that, but I'm sure, you know, they had a lot of... Anyway, we're getting into...
Right. Yeah. Anyway, there was a healthy amount of skepticism on behalf of the legality of the population. Jorik, you were sort of trying to prevent these grave robbings and murderings, killings, and then there was swimming and eels and
yeah, I think everything that could go wrong went wrong up until I started rolling my damage rolls. Right. Holy crap! Right. I think I didn't roll anything lower than like a 7 on a D8. It was crazy. But yeah, this session as a player, it was fantastically fun. It was action packed. It was full of, oh my god, what is even happening? It was so much fun, and I enjoyed it greatly. I really don't have much to add as a player.
Right.
Except for the whole the assertive player or the dominance player that Simon lifted there at the end of his session or his part. Yes, you can be an assertive player, but I think you're holding it on a reasonable level, and we are still able to, like, you know, we can shoot you down if we want to. In this case, we really didn't need to because it was a good idea, so we just go along with it. But just be aware that if you start feeling that you're a bit assertive, we will put the foot down if we.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
so don't worry.
So I think it's good to be aware of what one.
Yeah.
You're believable in your character. It's not nobody here is feeling. Like,
and I mean, Blaxton is supposed to be very young too, so him being assertive and sure of himself is perfectly fine within this inside the character.
Yeah, because once you get older, you stop being assertive and sure of yourself. Realize you don't know. And finally, when we move over, Adresai, you want the book, and you've now got both stones. I mean,
oh my god!
And I suspect that there will maybe be not a full disclosure to the Ocrelicar if they have their heads up.
I've actually here's a question for me maybe. Why is Adresai not Agrelica?
Yeah,
that is a good question. I think it is something that they were sort of considering, but they are too like experience hungry and too adventure hungry. Like they want to go out there and see things and experience things. They enjoy libraries, but they don't want to be stuck in one for the rest of their life, kind of thing.
Right.
But I think that it was a close call.
Right.
But that said, like when you called to end the session, I looked over at my timer and was like, "What, already?" And I'm like, "That was literally the fastest 2 hours of my life." I think that was hilariously fun, and just so frantic, just completely all over the place. And like Blaxton is over there doing his like 3-dimensional chess, and we're like over here doing like regular D&D. Adventuring shit, like we're like killing monsters and we're robbing
raiding.
It just struck me as like this typical D&D thing to do, which we hadn't been doing so far in this particular storyline. But I mean, I am immensely fascinated by this book, and I think that when it comes to handing things over to the Archrelica, and I'm not sure entirely about like where does our like actual, like how far are we allowed to investigate these things, and like because it's not directly a dragon thing, so it's not like it would be forbidden either.
Right.
But
I mean, with dragon artifacts, you cannot behave like this.
No, absolutely not.
If it was, kill you.
If it was a dragon artifact, I would not be doing what I'm doing. But this is more like before
History.
dragons. This is more basic stuff, and I think that you are going to have to pull really hard to get this away from Adversai once you actually get safe. But as I said earlier, they are definitely going to try and get into contact with this entity with the red eyes, and actually, because if they can speak to this thing, because it didn't seem hostile, it seemed like a guardian type thing, rather than, or like the tome itself had somehow gained sentience, which is, like if you could talk to it, that would be kind of amazing. And if I can be pulled back out, then
You were lucky once.
I was lucky once.
If you die when you dream, you die in real life, right? That's right.
Hey, look, if Adversai dies doing this, that is probably their dream.
They'll die happy.
I do not think they would mind at all dying and being part of this book forever.
Anyway, thank you for watching and staying with us for this rather lengthy post-game discussion. As you can see, everyone's quite enthusiastic about where we're heading. And hopefully you are as well. Leave your comments below. And do you think it's a good idea for them to invade Senator Vyx's estate while he's whining and dining with the wily Blaxton? I'm not entirely sure who I'm more scared for, Blaxton or Vyx. Anyway, we'll find out next week when we return with more adventures of the Windswift. Until next time, thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.